Everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. Come and eat.
And this is Parashah Vayeshev, Genesis 37 through 40, verse 23 to the end of chapter 43 or 40, chapter 40. And so this is the dream. So this is the dreams of the baker and the butcher and the candlestick maker. No, just kidding. That's a Mother Goose rhyme. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. Remember that one?
Yeah.
The butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. I still remember that one from my childhood. But this is the butcher, not the butcher, the baker and the cupbearer. So anyway, go from the ridiculous to the sublime now. Usually go from the sublime to the ridiculous, but we're going to the other way around. So here they had dreams. Dreams are something that a lot of people have. I've never done a little quick teaching on dreams before. How many of you dream regularly when you're sleeping? Some people dream a lot. Some people hardly dream at all. I'm dreaming constantly. I mean, I'm just like nonstop when I'm sleeping. I mean, I don't know if it's nonstop or not, but it's a lot every night. Some of the dreams I remember, some of the dreams I don't remember. And I'd like to say this, especially to you guys, men. People say, well, you don't have control over your dreams. And sometimes we have dreams that we'd really not like to have, especially pornographic type dreams. You absolutely do have control over your dreams. Okay? Now, you don't have control directly over your dreams as to what you're dreaming, because dreaming is a function of your mind. Your mind never really shuts off. Your mind is processing things during that have happened during the day or whatever. But if one is not, one is walking a holy kadosh kind of a walk, and you're not thinking illicit thoughts, not looking at illicit things, not involved in illicit immoral activities, there's no reason why you should be dreaming immoral dreams. I believe that for somebody that is walking in righteousness and is not given over to these carnal passions, these inordinate affections, as the King James calls it, there's no reason why you should be having illicit dreams. So if that is not the kind of person that you are, garbage in, garbage out kind of a thing, then why are you having them? Well, it says in Ephesians chapter 6, talks about the fiery darts of the devil, lifting up the shield of faith by which we will quench the fiery darts of the devil. What are these fiery darts? These are thoughts. These are things that are coming, that the enemy is sending into our brain, impulses. As Billy Graham once said, you can't stop the birds from hovering over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest in your hair. Yes. He was talking about temptations and bad thoughts and things like that. And James talks about temptations, and we can be given into temptations if we're not careful, if we allow them to settle into our mind, and then they work themselves out and become then an ungodly, sinful action. Now, with regard to bad dreams, I don't get them very often. And when I do, the next night, before I go to bed, I rebuke that evil spirit, and I take authority over it in the name of Yeshua by the blood of the Lamb. And we have scriptures that give us the authority to do that. And I sanctify my mind by the word, the spirit, and the blood of Yeshua. Cleanse me. I sanctify my soul, my mind, my will, and emotions. I actually pray that prayer and say that. And guess what? I don't have any more dreams. I don't even have to say it again. I say it once in my life, and I don't have a dream, a bad dream. I'll go for 6 months, 9 months, and then all of a sudden it's like, the enemy sends a little zinger in there, and then I'll pray that prayer again. And I don't have bad dreams. Now, what about night terrors and those kind of things? Same thing. Plead the blood of Yeshua. Take authority. Some of us maybe have had demonic type dreams, and I won't get into that. That's not the point of this discussion. But I take authority over that, and I don't let it come into my life and into my mind. It happens once in a while, especially, and this is not in the main focus of this teaching, but especially if I have gone up against a demonized person in my ministry, or up against a demonic stronghold. I've had those demons try to come back and attack me. One time I was ministering at Teen Challenge. This is 25 years ago or so. And I cast a demon out of a young person at Teen Challenge where I was ministering. I had a regular ministry there, the one in Portland. And I cast a demon out of a young person where the demon was manifesting. I led them to the Lord. And I was spending the night there that night. And I was overseeing the shelter. And that demon went and attacked my wife in her bed, or tried to. It came into the room. And she dealt with it. It didn't attack her, but she saw this thing hovering in the bedroom. And later on, we compared notes, and it was like, and where I was at in Portland was like where our house was like 20 miles away, about 20 miles away. And I knew the time when I cast a demon out of this young person. The demon was manifesting, and it was putting stuff on his body, and that's a whole other story. I've had a few encounters with demons. And it was the same time. It was like instantly after I cast a demon out, it went back to attack my wife. And again, it didn't attack her physically. It just appeared in the room, our bedroom. And that happened, like right after that, like immediately. I know a couple instances in the last 10 years where I have, go back to Yeshua. You say demons don't exist in churches. Half the time that Yeshua was in synagogues, he was casting demons out of people.
Right.
Or he was healing people that had demons. Or rebuking. Or demonized people were trying to run them out of the building and get them over a cliff or kill them or whatever. There are plenty of demons in people that are in churches. And it are Christians. Now, they're not necessarily demon-possessed. You got the demon-possessed Gadarene demoniac. That guy was just crazy, and I just put up a teaching on my blog about 18 signs of demonization. I prefer the term demonization. It comes from the Greek word demonazo, where we get the word demon from, but it literally translated demonazo means demonized. There's levels of demonization. From outright possession, like the Gadarene demoniac, that Yeshua, that was running around naked among the tombs and chains, and he's cutting himself and all that stuff, to people that are oppressed, obsessed, or influenced by demons because they have strongholds in them. Strongholds going back into their childhood, areas in their lives where they have not opened up a dark area. I liken a person's life to a room or like a house. When we accept Yeshua into our life, he comes in and starts doing house cleaning. But some of us have little closets in the, back in a basement in our room, or in a basement in our house, a little room or a little closet that we have not let Yeshua into that. We're hanging on to abuse issues from the past. We're hanging on to wounding issues, unforgiveness. Maybe we had an occult involvement that we might have forgotten about. Or maybe we just have kind of like swept it under the rug. We may have anger issues. We may have rejection issues. Those are the big ones. Fear, anger, rejection, and unforgiveness. And those things, when we're triggered at the right combination of factors, it will come out. That little dark room, something will come out of it. Or that area that's been etched, it's called a spiritual wounding, into our psyche, into our mind, will, and emotions, that when somebody triggers us based on something that happened, maybe in our childhood, how our parents treated us, how we were raised, what we saw, some trauma, some shock, all different kinds of things. And we go berserk. We cuss, we swear, we launch out, whoever happens to be there, a family member, a spouse, the dog, whatever. we just come unglued. We start going into emotions. We may go into foul language. We may start, we start get super angry. We get bitter, and if we're not careful, we all can fall prey to this stuff. I was watching the other night. Briefly, I was looking for some music. I'm on YouTube a lot, and I was looking for some music, and so I listen to a lot of classical music. And there was a little video clip of a Rambo movie. It was like 3 minutes long, and I've never seen a Rambo movie. Okay, I just don't watch a lot of things, and I know who Sylvester Stallone is or whatever. But anyway, the video, it said Rambo escapes the police station. I go, oh, that, sometimes I chill and I'll watch little video things. I go, oh, that ought to be interesting. So here was Sylvester Stallone. This movie, I don't even know what movie it was. It was made in the 1980s. And this is a perfect example of what I was talking about, or what I was just talking about. We get triggered. So he's in the police station. I have no idea what happened in the movie to get him there, but he's in the police station. And he's actually in the jail. Or he's the jail in the police station. And there's like 5 police officers there in the room. And they're going to shave him. He had a little bit of stubble, and they were going to shave him. Well, he's a big dude. I mean, his muscles are about that big around. And this police officer whips out a straight razor. Now, why they're using a straight razor? And it's like this, but it's a razor, and he's going to shave him. He puts some shaving cream, and Sylvester Stallone goes wacko. And this other officer has a billy club, and I think they're kind of like tormenting him. They're going to show that they're the tough police officers. And this other police officer grabs Sylvester Stallone and puts him in a chokehold with a billy club across his neck. So he's struggling, and he does not want to be shaved. I'm like, what's the deal? And then you have some flashbacks. This is it shows you what Rambo was thinking. I guess previously in the movie, he was like in China or Japan or somewhere. I think it was China, and he was being restrained, and this Chinese guy with a sword put a slit across his chest, and it showed that in his mind what he was thinking. And he was flashing back to that episode, and when he saw the straight razor coming at him, and the guy was like, yeah, we're going to shave you, and all he could see was, him being slit, and it brought back a memory. And as that razor got closer to him, he just went berserk. He literally, the guy that had to buy the billy club, he flipped him over. The other guy came at him, he threw him out the window or through a glass, and he literally busted the place to pieces. It kind of reminded me of Samson. Busted. Have any of you seen that movie? Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. I don't even know. This is the only Rambo thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so I don't even know what movie it is. I don't know. Is it Terminator? No, that's what's his name? Schwarzenegger. Anyway, and he busts out of there, and all these police comes through the whole thing, and he's throwing police officers left and right, runs out the front door. There's a guy on a motorcycle driving by. He rips him off the motorcycle, jumps on the motorcycle, and now you got a chase. And that was the police officers, and that was the end of the clip. That's all I saw. But the point is that there was a wounding, something that happened in the past, and now there's a spiritual parallel there. Sometimes we get triggered, and the enemy can then, if we have not gotten healed of that and forgiven the people that hurt us and released that stuff, it can be triggered, and dreams can come, bad things can happen to us, demons can attack us, or we can have these outbursts and these strange behaviors. Okay? This happens to some of us, and we need to get healing and get accountability. Okay, I don't mean to go down that path, but These things happen, okay? And the enemy can take advantage of it. So we're going to go through some scripture here, talk about dreams, and we're going to talk about, in Job it talks about this kind of a dream. But what I want to talk about is, we're talking about the dream that the baker and the wine steward, or the cup holder, had. Now, we're not going to get into the meanings of the dreams. You can go read Genesis chapter 40, and it explains the meaning of the dream, and I'm not going to get into that. But if you go to Numbers 12 verse 6, it says here that Yah speaks to his people through dreams and visions. We'll talk about the differences between them. So we do have a certain amount of control over our dreams. We don't have to allow bad dreams to come, and we don't have to allow demonic dreams or demonic things to come into our life. If we are submitted to Yeshua, remember what it says in, James 4:17? Submit yourself to Yehovah, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. The problem is, sometimes we have areas in our lives that we have not submitted to Yehovah. We have areas in our lives that are still unredeemed, these little closets that have these skeletons that will come out. And when we react in an ungodly way, when we react in a fleshly kind of a way, and we lash out at people around us or whatever, that's when we need to hold up the mirror instead of blaming other people for our bad behavior. Well, you did it first, or whatever other kind of nonsense that comes out of our mouths, and we've all done it. We need to say, why did I do self-analysis? Why did I act that way? And we're like, okay, what unresolved issues? Who have I not forgiven? What areas have I not repented of my sins? Or what areas do I need to allow Yeshua to come into my life and heal those areas? And he's the one that gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. It's a promise. It's Isaiah 61. And I believe that. But we are still humans. We still struggle. And so, anyway, but Numbers 12 verse 6 says, hear now my words. Okay, this is the situation with Miriam and Aaron, where they lifted up a word against Moses because he married the Cushite woman. And Yehovah was kind of upset. He says, I will speak to the person I want to speak to, and don't presume to think you know what this and that. He really takes them to task. And he says in verse, actually, did I say 12? Mm-hmm. It's not 12, it's verse 6. Chapter 12, verse 6. Hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, Yehovah, make myself known to him in vision. I speak to him in a dream, but not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. And he says, I speak to him face to face, even plainly, not in dark sayings. So Moses, okay, I don't want to get into this one, but there's 11 levels of a prophet. 11 levels of the prophetic in the Bible. Yeshua was at the very top. Moses was one step below that. He saw, basically for a full human, Moses was at the highest level. Most of the people that are running around in the churches today that claim to be prophets are at maybe level 3 or 4. I have written about this. It's in the Bible. I have teachings on it. It's on my blog. Most of us are, if we think we're prophetic, we're at the lowest level. There are 3 levels before one becomes a quote-unquote prophet. I am at level 4. I am the lowest level according to the 11 levels. Some of you younger people maybe have had things, and he has spoken to you, and I've had some dreams, but I've never had a vision. Some of you have heard the voice of Elohim, and he does speak sometimes. I have been led of the Spirit, but I've not ever heard the audible voice. These are all different levels. Now, just because you did it once doesn't mean you're a prophet. But if it happens reoccurringly, like with Joseph, Joseph was a prophet. He had dreams, and he was able to interpret dreams. I'm able to interpret dreams. I've interpreted a lot of dreams. Jared had one this morning. We talked about it. And it didn't really have to be interpreted. It was pretty self-evident. And I've had a couple of dreams. I've had several dreams in my life and it came to pass. But a dream is what you have at night. A vision is what you have as if you, not at night. Well, it could be at night. There's a night vision where it's not just a dream, but you are like in it. I mean, it is like it's really happening. I've never had one of those. A day vision is like what Peter had in Acts chapter 10, where he's in the Bible says he was like in a trance. I've never had one of those. Have any of you ever had a vision? Okay. It's different than a dream. It's more vivid than a dream. It's like you were there. It's like you're in it. Okay? And then you have different levels of visions where you see what's going on. These are the 11 levels. And then you have a vision where an angel appears to you. And then Yeshua appears to you. And you're talking. I mean, there's all these levels. And I haven't been in any of those. But I understand it. So Yah talks to people through visions and through dreams. But right now we're talking about dreams. If you go to we have a number of examples of dreams in the Bible. In Genesis 20, verse 3, Elohim spoke to Abimelech. Remember, this would have been actually the Isaac situation. Isaac. Abimelech was the Canaanite king, and he took Sarah. He thought she was Isaac's sister, and he was going to have her, and then Yah appeared to him in a dream. Jacob had a dream. 30 verse 10. That might have been that's when he was with Laban. He had the dream about how to propagate the sheep in such a way that he would end up with more sheep than Laban. Remember, Laban was cheating him out. That's Genesis 31. Then Joseph had a dream, Genesis 37. That's where he dreamed about the 12 wheat and the stars, and that's what caused his brothers to be jealous and throw him into the pit. And then chapter 40, we have the dream of the butler and the baker. Chapter 41, we have Pharaoh's dream, the 7 lean and fat cattle, and then the 7 ears of corn and all that. And then in Judges 7, Gideon has a dream. Solomon has a dream in 1 Kings 3. Daniel has lots of dreams and visions, and everybody's having dreams and visions in that one, but Daniel. And then Joseph has a dream. Yah appeared to him and said, go down to Egypt. And there he went to Egypt to get Yeshua and Mary out of there, as Herod was on a rampage to kill all the children that were under 3. And then he had another dream. Joseph had another dream when he was in Egypt to come back to the land. And those are just a few examples I pulled out. There's other examples as well, but those are just a few. Now, we are promised, the scriptures promise that Yah in the end times will raise up people that will have dreams. And we all know Joel 2, verse 38? There's my 28. Joel 2:28. And this is a promise. Joel 2, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum. Okay, and they're in the latter or the minor prophets. So Hosea is a long book. Joel is a short book. It comes right after. Hosea or Joel 2:28. It says here, oh, may this come. And it shall come to pass. You young people, listen. You old farts, listen too. All of us listen, okay? There's something in here for all of us. And I include myself in the latter one because I'm getting there. Or maybe I already am. Compared to the young people, I already am. Although I don't always act like one. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. I think it would include the older women as well. Your young men shall see visions. Actually, that would be young women. So actually, they're going to maybe see things. Vision is a more, like I said, it's a more realistic type of a dream. And also my men servants and my maid servants, and all my men servants and my maid servants, I will pour out my spirit in those days. What are those days? Well, it's actually, a lot of people like to say, well, that has to do with now. But this actually is a millennial prophecy. The former and the latter rain, verse 23. He's talking about he will restore Israel and restoration. This is actually will happen in probably right after, as I see it, right after Yeshua comes back. It says that the glory of the Lord is going to cover the earth like the waters cover the sea. Now, this verse, Joel 2:28, is quoted in Acts 2, because in Acts, on the day of Pentecost, there was this outpouring, and Peter gets all excited, and he's thinking that this is the fulfillment of it. Well, in a sense it was, but it was not the full fulfillment. And the full fulfillment isn't going to come till a little bit later. I think after Yeshua comes back. But that doesn't mean that there can't be outpourings. We have had outpourings of the Spirit. Even in the last 100 or 200 years in the United States and England and other countries. And that's a whole other discussion. But it can happen to us. It often started with small groups of people. So anyway, I don't want to get into revival. That's a whole other discussion too. We could branch into that, and I've studied revivals quite a bit, both in the Bible and outside the Bible. But usually where there's a revival, it's a restoration of some truth that's being restored that has been lost. And with that comes a revelation of the Spirit. Okay, that's enough on that one. So, we have, let me go down my list here. Well, let's go to Deuteronomy 13, verse 1. I'm just going to go down a few chapters here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to dreams. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's just go down the list here. I've got about a half a dozen scriptures. Deuteronomy 13, starting in verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes to pass, of which he spoke to you, saying, let us go after other gods which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or the dreamer of dreams, for Yehovah your Elohim is testing you to know whether you love the Lord Yehovah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yehovah your Elohim and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall observe him and hold fast to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken in order to turn you away from Yehovah your Elohim. So, not everybody who has a bad dream is necessarily a false prophet and should be put to death. If somebody has a dream and they misinterpret the dream and they think it means this and that, and they go tell you, that doesn't mean that person should be put to death. The caveat here is if he has a dream and even gives you a sign or a wonder, and he turns you away from the Torah, the commandments of Elohim. There's a lot of people in the church system who claim to be prophets, and are telling us that we don't have to follow the Torah. Now, that's different than let's just go and follow Baal or Satan. These guys aren't doing that. But they are, and we'll go to Jeremiah 23 in a moment, they are prophesying out of the dictates and dreaming out of the dictates of their own heart. I will tell you this, all of the prophets in the Bible were Torah obedient.
Yes,
every single one. And there are people with prophetic giftings in the mainstream church. And I will say this, are they false prophets? No, not unless they say, let's go worship Satan, which most of them are not. But they are saying different things that are not biblical, many of them. And they are not upholding the Torah, because it's not good for business. You don't get a big offering. Okay? What they are doing is they are what we call carnal prophets. They are prophesying out of the flesh. So I will just say this, to the degree that if a person has a prophetic gift, and many people do, Romans chapter 12 talks about prophecy being a gift that's given to a lot of people. both saved and unsaved. Some people are born with it. What will they do with it? They will use it for evil and become sorcerers, diviners, palm readers, astrologers? Or will they become prophets, quote unquote, in the church, but are not walking with Jehovah as they should, and are not uplifting the high standards of His Word, His Torah? Or they are just ordinary people that have premonitions and have a sense of this and have a sense of that. And it's neither good nor bad. It actually could be used for good. So you got the bad, the neutral, and you got different levels of the good. So I would say with regard to those in the mainstream church but are not walking in all of Torah as they should be careful. Be careful. To the degree that they are not walking in Torah, that is to the degree that they will have blind spots. They will have blind spots, and what they're saying will not be accurate. So we got to test the spirits, and we got to weigh all things. Now, we're getting more into the prophetic, and that's not where I wanted to go with this. That's a whole other discussion. I've made videos on that before. But with dreams, the dreams and the prophetic and the visions all often go together. That's why this is all kind of related, okay? That's why I'm talking about it. Let's go to the next passage here. 1 Samuel 28, verse 6. 1 Samuel 28, verse 6. So this is Saul. Saul, by this time, King Saul had rejected Jehovah, and his rejection was considered the sin of witchcraft. And Saul wanted to know what would be the outcome of a particular military campaign that he was about to embark on. And Elohim was not, it says in verse 6 here, and then Saul inquired of the Lord, Jehovah. But Jehovah did not answer him either by dreams, or by Urim, or by the prophets. So he asked for a dream. Elohim was silent. Elohim had already turned away from him. Saul was already... Samuel had rejected Saul, because Saul had walked in disobedience previously. And he went to the priests who had the Urim and the Tumim, which they carried in their ephod, where they were able to... We don't know what the Urim and the Tumim were, but they might have been like dice, or they cast lots to determine yes or no. You could ask a question, and you could get a yes or no answer, and there was no answer. And he went to the prophets, and they didn't have an answer. So he finally went to the witch of Endor. Okay, and we know what happened there. Jeremiah 23, let's hit this one. And then I have one more after that, and then this teaching is done. If you have any questions, I'll see if we can try to answer them. Oh no, there's actually a couple more. Let's go to Job 7:14. That's before we go forward. Let's go back, or well, let's just work our way forward. Job 7:14. Yeah, Job has something to say about this. He talks about here being scared with dreams and terrified me with visions. This isn't the verse I was looking for, but this will do. There's another one that talks, I think it's in Job, that talks about kind of demonic dreams, the terrors of the night.
That's number Job 4, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can you give me... Oh, yeah, you're right. Here it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to write this down. Yeah, Job 4.
12?
Yes, yeah, that I have it marked here in my Bible. And 4 verse 13. He says, now a word, well, verse 12, now a word, this is Eliphaz speaking. Now a word has secretly brought Now a word was secretly brought to me, and my ear received a whisper of it. In the disquieting thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on men, fear came upon me, and the trembling which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, and the hair on my body stood up. It stood still. He was being spoken to by a demon. He thought it was a word from Elohim. It was a demon. This is what demons do. I've had these kind of encounters, several in my life. This is not Yehovah. This is not Yehovah putting terror on people. This is a demonic spirit. And there's a lot of people that do not try the spirits, and they think because they have a paranormal experience, oh, that must be Elohim, and it's the devil. So Eliphaz here, if I don't remember what happened, he said, but I could not discern its appearance. Verse 16, it stood still, but I could not discern its appearance. It was a ghost. I have seen a demon before, and I have seen ghosts a couple times. I've had them try to attack me. Thankfully, not very often. I've had demons that try to attack me and kill me a couple times. Once. No, 3 times. I take that back. 3 times. When I've been out ministering. I could write a lot of... I could give you stories. But I'm not going to. That's not the point here. And he says, and the form was before my eyes, there was silence. And I heard a saying, can a mortal be more righteous than Elohim? This was a demon speaking. And now this man is going and trying to represent to Job that he heard from Elohim. Why do you think Elohim was so angry at this theologian of the day? Remember, like I taught at Sukkot, Job's friends were the rabbi, the reverend, and the priest, and the pastor, and the seminary professors of their day. And the Pope. Wrap them all up in one. They were coming and giving their theologies and their understandings about why Job was in his plight. And one of them was listening to a demon. Remember who Yeshua cast out of a lot of synagogues? Demons. Yes. So just because they have clerical titles, just because they are in pulpits and are on TV and on radio and wear robes, maybe they're of Yehovah, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just of the flesh and not of Yehovah or the devil. You got 3 levels. You got 3 places, and that's you can be of the devil, of the flesh, or of the spirit. And some people have all 3 mixed up. Whoa, that gets tricky. That's why we got to have the gift of discernment of spirits. We got to know the word. I'm giving you the word. This is how you discern. This is a quick teaching. A lot of people say a lot of things, but what they say and what their lives are like and what their lifestyles and what they believe, their theologies may not be what's really going on under the surface. Amen? You know what I mean? So we have to be people who are of the light, and the darkness will reveal itself. Okay. Thank you for bringing that verse out. That's the one I wanted. I thought I had that one. And then we have Ecclesiastes 5. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5. This is a good one too. Ecclesiastes 5. Let's start in verse 3. Well, actually, let's start in verse 1. Walk prudently when you go to the house of Elohim and draw near to hear, rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know what they do, that they do evil. Do not be rash with your mouth, and let not your heart utter anything hastily before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you are on the earth. Therefore let your words be few. So he's saying, let me just say, when you come into the church, when you come into the presence of Elohim, how many of you have been in churches where it's like somebody flips on a switch, and all of a sudden everybody starts praising and worshiping, and so everybody starts speaking in tongues, and their hands go up, and then as soon as that's done, the switch gets turned off, and they're out the door, and that's it, and they're acting like the world or the devil. The hypocrisy of us all. This happens, and some of us have done it. You know, when I go into praise and worship situations or anything, I go in slowly. I feel, I sense, I discern, and I'm not putting there to put on a show. I want to be pure. And if I don't feel like worshiping and praising, I will sit down and I will pray or I will whatever. I'm not just going to be automatically, you know, crank up the music like that old song on TV and let's have church. That's what the flesh does. That's being motivated by the flesh. No, let's be led of the Spirit. There's some place, sometimes I'm in a quiet mood and I don't want to praise and worship that way. I may be doing it inside. I do like to praise and worship. It's wonderful. But some people do it to get a religious fix and get in an altered state of consciousness, and they are never doing it anytime else. They're not doing it at home. They're not doing it in their daily devotions. They're not doing it when they're driving to work. They're not doing it. They just do it when they come. What's wrong with this picture? Praise and worship should be a regular part of our daily lives, I think. There's times when I cannot help. I've got to break out in singing. I'm big into singing and music, and I'll be driving to work, and I'll I'm just singing up a storm, praising and worshiping. You know, last night, I went after everybody went to bed. I went back out to my office, and I just started singing because there's a song. It's you are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, and the refrain is. I stand in awe of you. I just started singing that over and over and over again. It's like I just was over the refrain over and over and over again. I got chills thinking about it. I couldn't help myself. You know, this is part of me in my worship. So anyway, look. So we want to be truthful and honest and clear. And I know not everybody's as musical as think I am or not or whatever. And people have different ways. So I don't want to judge people by what I do. We all have different ways, but we need to be doing it however we do it. Okay, verse 3. For a dream comes through much activity. So dreams come because we've been very active. How many of you watched a movie, a real action movie or some sort of a movie before you go to bed, and then you finally have a hard time falling asleep, and guess what you're dreaming about? You're out there fighting pirates or whatever. You see what kind of movies I watch, or whatever, you know. I mean, that's what you're dreaming about. For a dream comes through much activity, or as they say, they're pepperoni pizza dreams. Although we don't eat pepperoni pizza, but you know, you have something hot before you get it. You got a rumbly in your tumbly, as the Winnie the Pooh movie said. You ever watched that running movie? Rumbly in my tumbly? Yeah, isn't that Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree? You haven't seen that one? He comes into the rabbit's house for some food, and he gets so stuck that he gets stuck in the door.
I remember.
He can't get out, and so they push him out, and he goes flying and ends up in the honey tree, and he gets all the food he wants anyway. Anyway, that's another story. Yeah, that was years ago. We used to watch all the Winnie the Pooh movies. Anyway, so you eat something spicy before you go to bed, and you have heartburn, and guess what you're dreaming? You're having nightmares or whatever. No, these kind of dreams are not from Jehovah, are they? He says, for a dream comes through much activity, and a fool's voice is known by his many words.
And number 6.
And in number 6, do not let your mouth cause your flesh to sin, nor say before the messenger of Elohim that it was an error. Why should Elohim be angry at your excuse and destroy the work of your hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words, there is also vanity. Oh, I dreamed that I was this, and I dreamed that I was that, and whatever. And it could be a dream that you have, a night dream, or it could be a dream about, I'm going to be the president of the United States, or I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be, the next Benny Hinn, or whatever. I don't know. Or what. I mean, we got to be careful about these things. Okay, that's all. All right. And then Jeremiah 23. This is where I won't go too much into that, but this is where it talks about these are not false prophets. These are prophets in the church that claim to be prophets, but they're not really walking in the Torah. My Bible says here in the headings, false prophets. But these are really prophets that I would call carnal prophets. The Bible makes a distinction between a false prophet and a carnal prophet that follows the dictates of his heart. Again, a false prophet is one that says, let us turn to other gods. away from Elohim, away from his commandments, and follow other gods, other theologies. Carnal prophets are prophets that follow Yehovah, but they're not totally submitted to him, and they don't obey him like they should, and therefore they have blind spots. So let me ask you this, and I don't mean to pick on anybody, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you are a Sunday, if you're a prophet, you call yourself a prophet, and you go to church on Sunday, and you believe the Torah was, the law of God was nailed to the cross, and that you don't have to keep the Sabbath, or you don't have to keep kosher, you don't have to eat, it's all right to eat pork. If you had a vision like Peter and the sheet coming down, how do you think you're going to interpret it? If you have a vision about the Sabbath and you believe the Sabbath was done away with and now we're freed from the law, quote unquote, and you spiritualize away the Sabbath, how are you going to have an understanding of the Sabbath if he's giving you a dream about that? One of the things that I find out when people tell me they have a vision of Yeshua, I ask them, how do you know it was Yeshua? I just know. Okay, I get that one. And I said, did he tell you what his name was? I guarantee you, Yeshua, if he shows up in a dream, he's not going to say, hello, I'm Jesus. Because that ain't his name, folks. That's not his name. Now, I understand in English from the Jesus and the Greek, I get all that. But that's not his name. It's Yeshua. So if they say, Jesus said his name was Jesus, it's probably not him. Because he's not going to... That would be like me showing up and say, I'm Natan or Nathan. It's like, hey, I'm, whatever, Gertrude. Or... whatever, Ebenezer, or Bildad, pick some good names, Bible names. Ahithophel, there's a good one for you. No, I'm Natan, or Nathan. There's these little tests. So anyway, that's Jeremiah 23, we won't go through all that, 23, 27 through 32, 29, 8 talks about it. And then Zechariah 10 verse 2 talks about false dreamers, diviners, people that actually have false dreams. They get into divination. I guess we could go there real fast. This is the last chapter, or the last verse I have to share. And then I'd like to hear what you have to say. Zechariah is the next to the last book in the Tanakh. Zechariah, 10 verse 2. Verse 1, ask Yehovah for rain in the time of the latter rain, and Yehovah will make flashing clouds. He will give them showers of rain, grass in the fields for everyone. For the idols speak delusion, the diviners envision lies and tell false dreams. And they comfort in vain, and therefore the people wend their way like sheep. They're in trouble because there is no shepherd. When the shepherds don't know the truth, how are they going to teach the people? If the shepherds don't know what prophets are, because the shepherds don't even know what the word Torah means, how are they going to teach the people? If the shepherds aren't walking according to Torah, how are they going to teach the people the whole truth? They might have some good things to say, and we can learn from them, but I would be very discerning. Like I got a couple young men here, my sons. That are, and I've got some other kids too that go to Sunday churches from time to time. That's fine, if that's all you have to go to. And some of them do it for different reasons. I talk to people because there's no fellowship anywhere else, and they live in a place that's remote, and they have no fellowship. And I tell people regularly that contact me from around the country and elsewhere in Canada and places, we need some fellowship. I say, well, if you can, just go in with an open mind and discernment and extract the precious from the vile and stay there as long as you can and sow seeds. Look at it as a mission field. And when Yah tells you to leave, then leave. Until then, do the best that you can. At least you're around people that believe in Yeshua, the cross, the basic message of the gospel, and they're by and large nice people. And some people are there because maybe they have met a girl and they have a girlfriend that goes there and they're working with them, or maybe they have family members, or maybe they're learning. They want to learn. They were raised in the Torah all their lives, and they want to learn what our Christian brothers and sisters were like. I had to do that for 6 years. I was born and raised in the Torah, so I get it. But just go in with an open mind, with understanding and discernment. Amen? And realize that just because somebody stands up and gives you a prophecy or says this or gives a Bible teaching, if they're not walking it out or they're not lining up with Scripture, they're going to have blind spots. All right. I hope that helped somebody.
Come, everyone who thirsts. Come to the waters. Come and eat. Listen diligently to me, and eat what is good,